It's been a life-changing few months for Liam Lawson, fulfilling a childhood dream of spending time in an F1 seat. While he'll continue in a reserve role next season, as far as we know, it seems like only a matter of time until the team becomes his own. While not racing in Las Vegas, Liam was there for all the highs and the lows as a spectator like the rest of us, and he joins us this morning. Liam, thank you for being with us. It's great to have you on AM.
Thank you very much for having me.
First of all, how was the weekend's racing? But how is it watching? It must be hard in some ways to be sitting there and wanting to be, in that seat yourself, I suppose.
Yeah, the weekend was okay. It's very mixed because I'm reserved for both Red Bull and AlphaTauri, the two teams. And on one side, obviously, Red Bull won the race and had a great weekend. And for AlphaTauri, the team really, really struggled with the new track. So it's a little bit mixed, but yeah, it's very different now because obviously I always imagined what it would be like to be in Formula One, and as reserve for the last 2 years, I was always right there, but I never actually knew what it would be like. But now I know what it's like because I've done it, so it's a little bit harder for sure now watching.
Because you've had a taste of it already, I suppose. Tell us about the track on the weekend. There was a lot of noise made about this manhole issue. Is that common? And what kind of implications did it have?
It's definitely not common, but it has happened before. These cars, basically, when they go really fast, they produce like a huge amount of downforce, and it basically are being sucked to the ground. And so basically when one of the cars drove over a manhole cover, it actually sucked it out of the ground and into the bottom of the car, basically, and completely rode off the car. And obviously that's why they cancelled the session and repair all of them. So I don't know, it's something that probably should have been checked. Oh, I think they were checked, but yeah. So there was some sort of failure, basically, that obviously wasn't ideal, and it meant that the fans missed that second session. It also meant we were there at like 4 in the morning for the session. It was pretty rough.
Yeah. So sitting there now, having been in that seat now, and when watching the races, do you watch it in a different way? Are you learning more by watching now?
I think it was something it's always been a huge or a really important thing as anybody who is going to step into Formula One. It's been such a great thing for me to be able to have been reserved for the last year or 2 years now. And I think there's no way I could have jumped in this year if I hadn't have done that. But I think I definitely have a bit of a different view on it now because I just know things, I know situations. Before something could happen and I didn't really know, because I'd never experienced it, but now I have a bit more of an understanding. So, yeah, I would say now I'm probably gaining more from it and learning more from it. And there's always, with this sport, there's always so much to absorb. There's like so many different situations. There's so many people involved that you're always kind of learning.
Liam, what's in store for you next year? Do you have any idea? I mean, I'm told that you're going to be on the reserve again. Do you know whether you will be driving or...?
Right now, yeah, I'm basically going into next year as reserve. Yeah, there's basically I'm not going to be racing in another championship. So really, the whole focus this year will be going into that reserve role and working with Formula One and with the team. So yeah, I think there's a bit more to be sorted out and planned out for what else I'll do because obviously I need to keep driving, but at the moment it's going to be reserve and trying to obviously work on a full-time seat in the future.
We're just looking at some crashes, some accidents that have happened during your time on the track, but also, I suppose, getting you on the track. How do you feel about those crashes, those accidents, and how does your family feel about them? Do you worry about them going to bed at night? Is it that serious?
I think I would say they probably worry more. My mum is now finally, I think my mum can finally watch part of the race. But since I was a kid, she's never really watched the races. She's always, I think it's the first step was she would watch the races on replay when she knew the result. And now I think she can kind of watch the race when it's on, but not all of it. So as a driver, though, obviously it's something you just can't think about. You're obviously big commitment and big risk. And if there's any part of your brain that's slightly concerned or you're not basically 100% there, it's going to cost lap time and it's basically going to cost performance.
Liam, it's Melissa here. Lovely to have you on the show this morning. Thank you. You mentioned about working on getting a full-time seat, and there's a lot of Kiwis who are really rooting for you to be able to get that at some point. I know there's lots of complexities involved in being picked. It's not just form. Can you talk about the role that sponsorships play and whether that is something that is part of your planning to try and get there?
Well, I mean, personally, sponsorship has been the main thing that's got me here in the first place, especially from New Zealand. I've had amazing support since I was really young, since I was 13 years old, from a lot of amazing people in New Zealand that are still behind me now. So to get me here, it's obviously been a massive part of my journey. And then obviously to get into Formula One as well, you need a lot. You obviously need a lot more than just the driving ability. There's a lot of timing involved as well. I think for us, it's just there wasn't at this time and place a seat available, at least from the team's point of view, for it to work out like that. So, yeah, it's really tough. Obviously, there's 20 seats in the world. There's plenty of people trying to go after them. So I think I have a much better shot now. But there's definitely a lot that has to be worked out in trying to make that happen, and I guess on the timing.
It's very exciting. Just very quickly, Liam, what's your relationship with with Sonoda and Ricciardo? Because you're kind of breathing down their neck. They know that there's a very good driver waiting in the wings. What's your relationship like with them?
So far, it's been okay. Honestly, I get on with both of them very well. Daniel was very supportive when I jumped in. Yuki was pretty supportive as a teammate as well, to be honest. But obviously, in Formula One, the main person you're racing against is really your teammate, because that's the only other person that has the same car as you. That's the only person that we can be judged directly against. So basically, you know from both sides, you're basically against each other.
Liam, thank you so much for talking to us. You've definitely got us interested. You've definitely got us watching. Formula One driver Liam Lawson with us live from Las Vegas.